It is cold outside. Everyone goes on and on about sweater weather, but you can't forget about the wool socks. They're awesome too.
Okay, so here's the dresser again, and I'm gonna peek on over here so you can see the side. I did a drop cap box and some little font, once upon a time, to go with all the whimsiness that is this dresser. And here's some more of the details all over the dresser here.
I like using the leaf from the frond to like fill little spots where I feel it's a little too empty. And I don't mask, I just like hold the stamp up and just push down lightly, not even making full contact. And over here you can see that every now and then I throw in an element that isn't even a botanical element. And it's cool because your eye will interpret it as something that fits, like maybe roots or like fiddleheads. These kind of look like fiddleheads now that they're put in there like that. Yeah. So here's like the cap box, I think it's called. Yeah. So if you're not lucky enough, like me, to have the stamp set from the first generation, Alpha 2, I believe it is. It's really gothic. I mean, it's just screaming like, do this to me, do this to me. Yeah, I really wish I would have had that stamp set, but I don't. So what I did is I just used a font set off the computer and printed it off and used carbon copy paper to then draw an outline, and then I like painted it in with a tiny brush. A lot more time consuming than just using those lovely stamps those girls make. Oh, thank you, sisters. And there's so many stamps that would do really nicely on the box in the background, and you could use any font at all. I mean, the cursive would look cute in here, like any of the fonts would look cute in here to make a on the box. Yeah, so there you have it. Okay, in my last video I showed you how to make how to use IOD stamps and turn any stamp into a border, and I left you off with the bunnies, and I decided that I would just do a mock-up of the front panel on the dresser that I showed you as my concept, or the inspiration for this video, I guess you might say. Like, do a mock-up version of it with the green background and then the bunny border going straight across it. So I'm just using that technique to get that all set in place to show you the next technique that I used to get that dresser the way it was. Okay, so I'm almost done with my bunnies. This is just the best stamp ever. I love it. It's so cute. Okay. Hovering it over, lining up that bunny tail with that bunny tail on my mask. Chin right on the line. And I don't think the last bunny is on camera here, but I'll just do the full length of the board regardless. Okay, so this next technique I'm calling ghosting, and this might freak you guys out a little bit here at first. You might be like, what is she doing? But we are going to literally color in all those stamps and fill it in with some white paint. Covering all the detail. Just fill it right in. And when I was working on the dresser, I probably did 3 coats of paint. I got the white super opaque, like not translucent in the slightest. I wanted it to be totally stand out against that translucent green paint. I wish I would have had more of that green paint to fill in this board for you guys, so it would have been exactly the same, but I didn't have any more. And you don't have to do like a super perfect job when painting in the lines, or like a super good job even filling in the lines. Just want to get the approximate shape of the silhouette of the bunny. I mean, really I could just grab a smaller brush to do the outlines and then fill it in with a larger brush later. Oh yeah, this would be much faster. Okay, so you get the point. I'm just gonna pop in again when I have like 2 or 3 coats all over these bunnies. Okay, so I got ahead of myself a little here, sorry. So I got a bunch of my botanically more nature themed stamps out. Some from the Franz set and Painterly Lady, Lady Shalott and Painterly Roses, and just like all of the stamps. I got them all set. I haven't pre-cut any masks, and I don't keep my masks for very long before they get icky and soggy, so that's going to slow me down a little bit, cutting those out as I go. But yeah, I got ahead of myself by filling in the bunnies here, but that's not a big deal. It's just 1 coat. I am going to start filling in my background. And I don't need to mask my bunnies in this case because we are going to ghost on top everything. So I'm just going to go for it. We're going to concentrate our stamps on the bottom and then up around to the corners. We're going to kind of keep in the middle top area sparse. And this is the kind of job that you're going to want to practice on, like make some gallery art a few times, or even just practice on some paper or something like that for the first few times until you feel confident enough and like you've confident enough to just go for it on a bigger piece. And even though I have like 30 stamps here, I'm gonna make a point to stamp each stamp at least more than once. That way it's all cohesive. It doesn't look random. Woo! That was a close one. They're all like speaking. They're all from the same forest, like speaking each other's language. There's no, well, what's that plant doing there sort of thing. Because in nature, I guess, you wouldn't find one misfit flower or leaf. If you find it somewhere on the ground, you're likely to find it somewhere else.
I hope I'm not overwhelming you if you haven't done anything like this before. It's a lot easier than you think, and it's all about practice. Like, the first few times you do this, you might make a little mistake, whatever. Like, just do it on a piece of plywood, and you'll get more confidence, and when you get the right flow going, you just cruise, and it's just easy peasy and so relaxing, and you really will end up surprising yourself. It's actually kind of funny because when I did this on the dresser, I masked so frequently. Like, I just masked like every single stamp I laid down, there was a mask behind it. But when I did it this time around, like, I managed to like fill in the space and like hover my stamps and like lift corners of my stamps in such a way that I didn't need my masks. But yeah, feel free to use those masks. They're like super empowering.
Or rabbits. Oh. Right there. It is rabbits.
It's rabbits, he said. When you need to turn your brain off, this is the kind of project you want to be working on. If you make your piece tell a story, then I think you really accomplished something. Make it say something.
Okay, so when I'm backfilling, sometimes I like to go in and just flood an area in with just some water. And then when I come in with my color, I can kind of just let that bleed in, and it kind of like fades out gradually. And then there's other spots where I just want the area to be filled in entirely and be dark and not as translucent as other places. I want it to look dark and dense. So I do that in some places. And in others, I'll trace along the lines and then just add water as I'm working to make it smoke out and get more and more translucent, and I can just drag from where it's opaque to more clear. Just encouraging it there. Flooding here. And you just want to do this when you're relaxed or you need to relax. It's not a fast process, it's quite slow. But you don't need all your projects to be fast and speedy. It's nice to have one to come back to every now and then. Okay, so in the corners I want to go quite dark, but as I come to the center of the drawer panel, I want to like diffuse the paint more and more. I could even get a bigger brush. Change brushes every now and then to speed things up, but goodness, that might even slow me down. I don't know. And don't do too much outlining all at once, because the paint will dry and then you'll have like very evident lines. You want to like smooth out these lines so that they're not as clearly like trace lines. Like you wouldn't want it to dry just like that. You want to have them be the illusion of shadows and depth, and give your piece some mystery here. And don't be afraid to, like, if you have a spot where your stamps are like here, like it's kind of a little muddled, like you can just go over your stamps where it's muddled up and just hide that and make everything a little more clear. Yeah, so I'm just going to finish filling that in and jump you right to the next step. Guys, I'm set up in my kitchen and my kids are in the next room, so hopefully it's not too distracting and loud here. Brew myself a coffee, and I'm just going to finish up doing the backfill background painting.
And you can see here I am kind of mimicking the silhouette of the stamps to give the illusion of even more depth with something even further back in the background. So we got the bunnies in the foreground and all our plants in the background, and this would be set further even back more so we're creating a lot of depth, and it's really lacking detail, so that really is another indicator that that little image that I'm painting here is further back.
Okay, sorry about that. We're literally on our third location with this video, and I'm following my children around. That's what you gotta do when they're too old for nap time. So I'm just gonna finish up this so we can move on to the next step here. I think this is, yeah, just a little bit more here.
I just went in with some white paint and just touched up and crisped up my bunny's ears and little toesies where my paint actually bled into the white of the bunnies before starting this next step.
Okay, so this is the both exciting and kind of nerve-wracking part. We are going to put the lace back in our little bunnies. So I got my stamp, and I got my mask, my brayer, my ink. Okay, this thing loaded. Okay. Get my... Okay, so with the first round of stamping, when you're ghosting, it really doesn't much matter. You just want an image to work off of. It doesn't need to be crisp. It doesn't need to be super perfect. But when it comes to now is kind of where it matters most. So don't you just love IOD's stamps, how they're translucent so you can see what you're doing here. So hover it over your bunny. Line everything up and stamp. Get all those details in there. And you're going to see when I pull away the stamp that my ghost painting isn't perfect, but when the ink is all dry, we're going to go back in with the dark navy blue and clean up any of the white lines that are out of the lines. I want to color in the lines. There we go. Wow. And
I probably shouldn't be braying my stamp on my project. And cover. Stamp. Okay, just be very careful. You don't want to ruin all those steps you took to get your background just right. Lovely. Cover. Okay, so it's in line with the ears and the paws and the heels. Not the foot, elbows. Heels, heels, heels. Ooh, oh shift. Still beautiful. Yeah, it's really turning out nicely. But I like on the dresser a lot more how the background is not flat. It's kind of glossy even, and with the contrast of the matte bunnies and the smoky blue shadows. I find it is just a lot more visually dynamic. But of course this is beautiful. But it's nice when you like mix your different kinds of paints and finishes in one piece. I don't see people do that very often, but it can be really nice sometimes. Yeah, I wouldn't do this if I wasn't comfortable with masking. If you find that your mask shifts around when you're working, there's this 505 adhesive. It's for, generally you use it for quilting, but you can use it on paper too, and it basically turns, you spray it on paper or fabric, and it basically turns it into like a sticky note sort of thing. Like it's adhesive that you can easily peel off and remove. So if you don't like masking for the sake of you find your mask is shifting around a lot on you and causing you problems, then maybe you want to try that 505 adhesive. I don't have it at the moment, but I've gotten it before for quilting projects, and that's exactly where you'd find it, is that at a quilt shop or in that section. But you can use it for paper as well. That would be especially helpful if you're working on a project where you can't lie it flat on the floor or on your table. Like if you were working on a wall and you wanted to have all your hands free and you don't want to get there holding a mask, then that would be excellent.
if you could just stick your mask on there and like not worry about it shifting. I'm using a really thick cardstock. I actually think it's the cardboard cardstock from the backs of the package of the IOD stamps. They use, right? But I find when you use like a thicker cardstock like that, you get like a little shadow around the outline where the stamp doesn't quite get down all the way crisp up against your mask line, and I actually like that sometimes, but if I'm not going for that look, I use like really thin paper. But I find it makes, in this case, the bunny's face stand out more against the other bunny, because you can kind of see just like a white frosted outline just around its face. I guess you could say it's kind of like the bunny's halo, which overall just adds to this like theme of these sweet little bunnies hopping through this menacing forest. Jack, can you let Molly inside the house for me, honey? She wants to go inside. Can you let her inside for me, dear? No, she doesn't. Okay. Line up my tail and my paws and my ears. I always keep one hand down on the stamp while I'm working, just so I don't lift the whole thing up, because I've done that before. That ear impression's kind of weak. Weak sauce. Last stamp here. It is so hot out. The ink is drying. So as I'm braying here.
I like how I started out this video saying how cold it was, and now I'm ending it saying how hot it is.
Yeah. So, as you can see, there is like a few spots like here where it's outside of the line. So I'm going to mix up some of this green paint and just paint right on over top of that. To be honest with you, it doesn't even really bother me a whole lot, but I just want to show you guys how you can tidy it up if you feel the need to do so. I mix this paint too thin. edges that I'm not so much a fan of. Make those ears maybe a little pointier. And some places I'm going to want to go in with that dark navy to clean it up. Okay. So, like anything. So, like most pieces of furniture, I'm gonna really focus on softening the edges and the corners. So fine. Doing a light sand. Your background really helps it get that soft look.
I find giving it like an all over buff with some like really high grit sandpaper makes the stamps look less like individual stamps and makes it look like more like one finished piece. Like you can't just distinguish like one stamp from another, but that's just me. It's probably not necessary. Like it's just whatever you're going for, whatever effect you like. I like it to be like soft and smoky.
Here we go with my wax. Yeah.
There you are.
Yeah.
I was looking all over you.
Oh, yeah, you were.
Mommy, me too.
You too. Okay, so that's how I made this dresser. look like this. I hope you liked it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Please subscribe if you like. I have so many more ideas. I'm working on like a huge project right now. It's been like in the making since I moved into my house basically. And I want to share that with you. It's almost done. We're almost there. And yeah, lots of projects on the go. And want to make posting a videos a more on the regular thing. So yeah, woohoo! Making videos, yay! Okay.